Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 20th of January. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director at Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So this week we have AGL, REA Group, Pedico, Megaport and Janison Education. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you've signed up to the free newsletter, but if you do enjoy these videos, we'd love you to share them on social media. But most importantly, our best tips come out every Tuesday on the Dynamic Investor Report, so make sure you're getting the Dynamic Investor. However, if you'd like some advice from me personally, then you need to have a broking account. So if you have more than $500,000 and you'd like me to help you manage that together, then please call me and I can explain how that works. And all the advice here is general only. So here we've got a weekly chart of AGL. As we could see, it's just been one big, massive downtrend. Could be starting to break. If we just move to the daily chart, I mean, we've got, if sort of trying to pick out the lower highs and lower lows, it looks like it's made a new higher high. So potentially trying to break this downtrend. I think it's still early days. I mean, there looks like there'd be a lot of resistance at $8, fairly close by. I think just given the scale of this big downtrend, moving back to the weekly, it's unlikely to just move back into an uptrend. I think it's going to need to build a base first, and that might take quite a number of months, and that's even assuming that this is a low. Of course, if it turns around and breaks that, then it's back into the downtrend. All right, REA. Just looking back over the last sort of year and a bit, we could see that we had an uptrend there, which seems to have stalled. So just look here. We've got, so it's sort of topped out. It's unable to make any new highs. Got a bit of a range happening now. So we don't know if it's just consolidating and then it's ready to continue the uptrend, or if this is just one big topping phase. So ultimately what you need to do is just keep an eye on these lines. An upside break means it's getting back into the uptrend. Downside break basically means it's topped out and it's getting back into a downtrend. Okay, Pedico, LPD. So this looks really good. Obviously, we've sort of had a big move up here in volume, easing back on lower volume. Another good high volume rally, especially here where it broke to a new high, made a swift move up on volume, and then we've just had another correction on lower volume. So doing all the right things. It's basically corrected back to sit on the old high, which is pretty bullish. And then about a week ago we got another buy signal. So we've got this sort of correction here, and then it started to push out of that range about a week ago with the volume coming back in. So that's basically the buy signal, and I think this will just continue to rally to new highs from here. Okay, Megaport. So in terms of what it's done over the last few months, there was a clear sort of upside break here, sort of sideways consolidation, nice upside break, so a bit of a buy signal there, rally. It started to struggle. I think the sell signal basically came here, so you wouldn't have really made much out of it because it looked like it was bouncing off support here. It really needed to turn around. So I think this big sort of negative day here on volume basically would have been the sell signal. It struggled since, I guess, hovering around the old breakout level. You could probably almost sort of forgive it to see if it could just hold on here and get going. But then yesterday's move was clearly a negative. So gap down lower, pretty much closed near the lows of the day. Massive volume on the way down. So this thing's unlikely to make any upwards progress anytime soon. At best, it goes sideways. Otherwise, I think yeah, the risk is still to the downside on this. I think it's got further downside to come. Okay, JAN, so we've got a nice sort of sustainable uptrend here over the past year, doing all the right things, you know, flat consolidations, nice impulsive rallies. Recent price action is really interesting, so it's sort of eased back with a bit of a tightening range here, and it's interesting to see it do that. We just need some sort of upside break. Potentially that was yesterday. We could see the big spike in volume as it tried to burst out of the range. The only negative is that it's sort of closed all the way back down here. So if this is a break, it needs to step up today and, you know, open up here and continue on. Otherwise, it may well just be a false break, and we could see it fall to the downside. So clearly, I think if it drops under, well, basically if it stays down here in the low 120s, that's a negative, and dropping under 120 is a clear negative. Otherwise, it needs to be finishing up here well into the 130s today for it to be a buy. All right, well, that's all for this week. So if you have a request, send it through and we'll try to look at it next Thursday for you.